Welcome to Turkistan TV News. Focus. NATO's reference to China challenges symbolic turning point. By Mia Tanaka, Kyoto News. NATO's decision to specifically name China as a challenge for the first time in policy guidelines is the latest indication. Democracies and like-minded nations are coalescing in opposition to Beijing's growing military and economic assertiveness. But the move may still be largely symbolic, with the 30-member security bloc preoccupied with dealing with Russia in the wake of its attack on Ukraine. And due to the likelihood the guidelines will not lead any specific security commitments in Indo-Pacific region. In the strategic concept endorsed during the summit in Madrid on Wednesday, the first document of its type since 2010, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization said, "The People's Republic of China's stated ambitions and coercive policies challenge our interests, security, and values, while refraining from calling China an adversary." The document cited a series of actions that could be considered threatening to the transatlantic alliance, including Beijing's rapid nuclear arsenal buildup, cyber operations, confrontational rhetoric, and the use of the economic leverage to create dependencies and broaden its influence. NATO labeled China as a challenge for the first time in alliance guidelines. For an alliance that has traditionally focused on Russia and the European theater, to be taking this new explicit wording about China marks a significant change, said Jeffrey Hurnung, an expert on East Asian security issues at the RAND Corporation, a United States research organization. But he also said the China reference can be viewed as symbolism, demonstrating that the European democracies and like-minded nations are siding with Indo-Pacific partners, such as Japan and Australia, who are increasingly concerned about Beijing's provocative behavior. NATO was created in 1949 by the United States, Canada, and several Western European nations to defend against the threat from the Soviet Union. Its role and focus has since evolved through the end of the Cold War, during which it saw membership enlargement and operations in Bosnia, the September 11, 2001 terror attacks on the United States, which puts its focus on Afghanistan, and Russia's annexation of Crimea from Ukraine in 2014. It wasn't until 2019 that China's rise was fully taken up on the NATO's agenda at a summit meeting, partly under the pressure from the administration of then United States President Donald Trump. According to a report by International Institute for Strategic Studies, a British think tank, NATO's position on China issues as recently as 2019 had been to avoid taking joint stances, reflecting the diverging economic interests members have with Beijing, and their differing assessments of the degree to which the alliance should remain focused on threats from Russia. But Beijing's actions have become more difficult to overlook even by the conscious in Europe, such as its crackdown on pro-democracy protesters in Hong Kong, human rights abuse allegations against Uyghurs in East Turkestan, the militarization of South China Sea, and economic coercions. Some European nations, meanwhile, have individually been stepping up engagement in Indo-Pacific, with the Britain dispatching a carrier strike group led by the Queen Elizabeth last year, and France, Germany, and Netherlands also sending naval vessels to the region the same year. A port called by German Navy frigate the Baron in Tokyo in November marked the first visit to Japan by military vessels from the nation in about 20 years. Hornung said major European countries have been shifting their views on China, and NATO's updated position can be seen the security bloc catching up finally with where the member states individually are. But speaking in terms of actual military operations in Indo-Pacific, only a very small number of countries in Europe, such as France and Britain, will have the capability to send forces to the region, the political scientist said. But speaking in terms of actual military operations in Indo-Pacific, only a very small number of countries in Europe, such as France and Britain, will have the capability to send forces to the region, the political scientist said. The Ukraine war, now in its 5th month, is also certain to make NATO members wary of devoting resources to regions other than Europe as they continue to send arms to help Kiev's fight. Fears that a resurgent Moscow may target another country in the future also remain, as a new strategic concept vows to strengthen cooperation between the NATO and its Indo-Pacific partners. Hornung said the change will center on more defense exchanges, including high-level talks, and more chances of collaboration in exercises. Engagement in out-of-era operations is unlikely, he believes. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg indicated at a press conference on Wednesday that evolving ties with the Asia-Pacific countries do not make the bloc a global player, saying NATO will remain an alliance of North America and Europe. Michito Suruoka, an associate professor of international security at Japan's Keio University, said he's not too worried that the protracted war in Ukraine may lead to the European countries' interest in the Asia-Pacific region to wane. He said there's a growing awareness among the European countries that they are no longer immune from the influence of China, after the United States, the world's second-largest economy and second-largest defense spender. Concerns over cyber operations, emerging and disruptive technologies such as hypersonic weapons and artificial intelligence are of interest to all NATO members, he said. The academic also said the formation of three-way nuclear submarine partnership among the United States, Australia, and Britain last year, dubbed AUKUS, has been a key development that guarantees Britain's active naval presence in the region for decades to come. In the course of helping Australia acquire submarines, British submarines can be expected to stop by for exercises. And that would mean more possibility of Britain becoming involved in military operations in the region should contingencies occur. While NATO hailed its ability, under the new concept, to guide the alliance in a radically changed security environment, questions remain as to whether the document will have an effective 10-year lifespan. Taiwan, a self-ruled island that Beijing views as its own, is seen as potential military flashpoint that could draw the United States into conflict with China. United States officers have said China is accelerating its military capability toward being ready to invade and seize Taiwan around 2027. I do think the time is coming for NATO to seriously consider whether it's enough to think Russia as the only one that needs to be deterred, Soroka said. Ilteber from Turkistan TV News reported.